Welcome to our 8th grade Parents Night. Our goal tonight is to give you some idea of what's probably pretty manifestly clear to anybody who's been through a public school system, that high school is very different from middle school in two profound ways. One is that you have a lot more freedom in high school, which for some kids can be good and some not so good. And the academic, the rigor of the academics is more difficult. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But understanding that when the kids come here, and you're understanding that as a parent, is an important part of your student's success. So our goal tonight is to give you a good overview, and let me emphasize overview, of the ways that it's indifferent, the ways that the programs that we have, the opportunities that are available to your kids. And then these folks, who I'm going to ask to introduce themselves in a minute, we're going to have basically 3 parts to the program. We're going to give you some information for the first half hour, and then we're going to hear from some actual living freshmen here who have been thinking very carefully about what advice they would share with next year's freshmen as they come near the end of their freshman year. And then at the end, we're going to answer your questions to the best that we can, okay? I want to, when you're leaving, please take a look at some of the co-curricular clubs and organizations that are out on Main Street. Mr. Corkum is going to be talking a little while about co-curricular sports and clubs, which are a huge part. Why is this popping, Clint? Okay, thank you. I knew I asked the right guy. Which are a huge part of your students' experience here. So let's do some introductions.
My name is Lynn Vinskus, and I am the Science and Tech Ed Curriculum Facilitator. I also do teach one of the NGS PS classes for freshmen. It's a science required class.
Hi, I'm Becky Tancreed. I am a social studies teacher, and I'm the curriculum facilitator for social studies and world language. And next year, I'll be teaching geography and world cultures, which is a required 9th grade class.
Hey, good evening. My name is Tim Herbert. I'm the Commons D assistant principal this year, and next year I'll be the principal of Concord High School.
Hello, I'm Leslie Barry. I'm the curriculum facilitator for art, health, PE, and life studies.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Flower, and I am school counselor facilitator for the school counselor department.
Hello, I'm Michelle Speckman, Director of Special Education for Concord High.
Hello, I'm Ann Fowler, the principal of Concord Regional Technical Center.
Hi, I'm Jim Corkum. I'm one of the assistant principals.
Hi, I'm Jessamine Rockwell, ELO coordinator.
Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Kylene Chalaskis, one of the assistant principals.
And I'm Graham Crowther, the mathematics curriculum facilitator, and I teach Algebra 1, which is a freshman course.
And next year? Oh, you haven't heard officially yet? No. I got a surprise for you. Okay, so we're going to go through a lot of information. Again, it's just an overview of some really important things. This presentation is going to be available on our website within a few days. We're recording it, or CTV is recording it. So let's get started. Mr. Flower is going to talk about what a typical freshman schedule looks like.
Chaotic, that's what it looks like. No, so I put up some things up here. I think for folks who are at Runlet right now, do we have any Deerfield folks in the room too? Awesome, thank you for coming. For the Runlet folks, you guys have Blue and Duke days, I believe. Concord High School, Crimson Tide's our sports team, so each one of our days is either a Crimson Day or a Tide Day. And as you can see over on the upper left-hand side, every Monday in a typical week, Crimson, Tuesday Tide, Crimson Tide, and Fridays are alternating between a Crimson and a Tide Day. That's the basic structure. And then this is a student that we have right now, a freshman, what their schedule is. So Crimson Day is periods 1, 3, 5, and 7, odd numbers. Tide days are the even numbers. This part striped down here, when you folks receive your student's schedule, this is actually what it's going to look like. So, quick primer of how to read this thing. You will see that each period, period 1, period 2, so on and so forth, has A and B, only because some of our support classes only last for half of the period's length. But, as I said, a Crimson Day is odd number days. So Crimson Day for this person would be algebra, French, English, and computer business apps. And then the other ones would be the tide days. The other way to read this quickly is these are the periods of the day. These are the times of the year. And so we've done away, you won't see these cues on your guys' schedule, but it's semester 1, semester 2, or all year. If a thing goes for the entire length of it, that's a full year course. If it goes only for half of it, this would be only first semester until about mid-January, and then this would start at the end of January and go until the end of the school year. Your folks' schedules are going to be distributed. I'll talk to the middle schools of what they think would be the best time to do this, but we will be releasing them right towards the very end of the school year. If you require any course changes or want to have a discussion, school counselors are here in August, and you can get a hold of us, call the school, make an appointment. Some things we can do online, or if you want to come and talk to us, fine. We can talk about modifying some schedules. I think that covers it all, and I only had like 3 minutes, unless Mr. Reardon has a question. Yeah.
Freshman schedules are usually pretty set, are they not, as opposed to sophomore, junior?
So his statement was freshman schedules are usually pretty set as opposed to other grades, 10th through 12th. And the answer to that is somewhat yes. And the reason is a couple of different things. That there's not as many offerings for freshmen. It's a very prescribed set of courses. There's the 4 major subject areas: English, Math, Social Studies, Science. The 5th one would be PE and Health. And so there's a very structured thing of those. As students move up in their grades, they will have more opportunities to take electives, whereas the freshman year is primarily required courses, really checking off a lot of those graduation requirements. And that frees up. So when you come in, if you do have some issues with your schedule, I have to say that it's not as easy to make changes to your schedule as it would be in later years. But that doesn't mean that you can't have that conversation with us and see what the possibilities are, if in fact you desire to do that. Did that answer your question? Okay, beautiful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jonathan. So one of the things that we're going to try, and Tim's going to talk about this from one angle anyway in a second, that we'd like you to start thinking about, your freshman year the courses are not entirely prescribed, but they're largely, the kids are all going to be taking the same courses over their freshman year. But we'd like you to start thinking, along with your student, in terms of a 4-year high school career, and some of the different opportunities that are available to you as a student makes his or her way through those 4 years, the different pathways, the different opportunities outside of high school. And we're going to be talking about those things starting right now with Mr. Herbert.
Mike, do you have the clicker? Go next slide. Point it up there, Mike. All right, there we go. So future learning pathways is what we're calling it, or rising tide pathways here at Concord High School. And what we want to do is shift the paradigm of thinking around the courses your child takes. It doesn't mean that we expect a child to arrive here at Concord High School knowing what they want to be after they leave Concord High School, but we want their educational experience to be related to some sort of goal, personal interest, and something they may want to see if they're interested in doing after high school. There are 16 different pathways recommended by the New Hampshire Department of Education They are based on the United States and New Hampshire labor force and economic development statistics on growing fields for our students, for graduates at both the high school and post-secondary level to go into jobs, careers, and excel in. So what we're doing here at Concord High School is looking to align our courses in a pathway. So if your child has interest in a healthcare pathway, we currently have an example of that in the back of the program of studies on page 80. You can find it on our website. And it not only does it align the courses, it talks about post-secondary training for different careers you may be interested in. We show the salary ranges of the different careers and the level of education you have to go, whether it's 2, 4, or beyond. And the whole reason we put this stuff together and we think it's valuable is because we want your child to start thinking, why am I here? Why am I at Concord High School? What's so important about the courses I'm taking? We want to make their course of studies, while they're here, the experience meaningful. Wrapped up in our courses will also be extended learning opportunities, which you'll hear in a little bit from Mrs. Rockwell, where students get to experience areas of interest and get credit for it. In addition to that, we will be doing, as time goes on, we have a program called The Way To, and it really does evaluate the students' area of strengths, area of interest, and it allows us to help not necessarily guide them in their course choice, but have discussion about areas of interest or what they may want to do after high school, and then use that with their counselors or advisors to, pick their program of studies while they're here and have a more meaningful experience. So that's the whole notion behind Pathways. You're going to hear more about this over the next 4 years. Next year, we're going to be rolling out a little bit of a change in our program of studies that will be Pathways oriented, and it's something that, it's really about having the students take charge and think about their education in a different way. Not because I have to be here at Concord High School, I'm taking this class, but because I want to be a journalist, I'm taking this class. So with that said, that's about all I'm going to cover on Pathways. More information, again, can be found in our program of studies.
Thank you, Tim. Tim's talking about as kids make their way through the 4 years of starting to make choices about directions they'd like to go in. Probably one of the most profound choices that a lot of kids make when they make their way through Concord High School and area high schools is to become part of the CRTC program, the Concord Regional Technology Center, which has some absolutely outstanding career-oriented programs and creating directions for kids that really will sustain them for the rest of their lives. So just most kids, that becomes something that they think about for their junior year. These programs are 2 years, junior and senior year. There are some sophomores who start in their second year. But again, this is something in terms of a 4-year plan that we want you to be aware of. So we're pleased to have Ann Fowler, the CRTC principal, with us tonight to talk a little bit about our program.
Thank you, Mike. CRTC stands for Concord Regional Technical Center. We are a regional school. We're funded by the federal and state government, but we happen to be attached to Concord High School, so that's a pretty significant convenience factor for those that are attending Concord High. We currently have 750 students in the program, and you can see we have 12 different programs. We do recruiting with 30 towns or 12 schools, high schools come here, and we will do our recruiting every year starting in January and finish up through the application process in April. So students coming in as freshmen, we will be advertising and promoting our application process starting in January. And if you're interested in applying, we strongly recommend you can come into the program as a sophomore, but we do give priority and preference to juniors, and there are waiting lists in many of our programs. So we have about 750 students. We serve 12 schools. If a student doesn't get in their sophomore year, please don't get discouraged. We highly recommend you be persistent. Speak with your school counselor. We give a lot of weight to those conversations and in making our decisions. You may presume that grades make a difference, and it does to a very little extent, enough that we want you to be successful in our programs. We look more at attendance. We look at behaviors, and we look at ambition, reasons why students want to pursue these career pathways. So I strongly encourage you to pay attention to what we have to offer, and it will be worked very seamlessly into the Concord High schedule. The biggest challenge for the students coming to Concord High is navigating two high schools, because we are separate, and but we're attached. And understanding the grades may be different, the attendance policies may be different, and schedule in general. The benefits of the program is entering a program with like-minded students from the area in those 30 towns. So I strongly recommend you pay attention to our dates of our own open houses and come ask for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. So that's a huge opportunity for programs that are right for some kids and aren't right for others. And again, as I said at the outset, we're talking about your thinking along with your student about the options, the opportunities, the different pathways that are available. So one of the words that keeps recurring to me when I think about how high school is different, not just from middle school, but from high school when I was there back in the 1800s, is that, thank you, I just wanted to see if you all had fallen asleep on me, is how flexible school is now. Yeah, your freshman year is a little bit prescribed, and I think it should be, because as we said at the outset, things are very different at high school from middle school, and I think the kids need that structure as they make that transition. But one of the other options, a little less fraught with level of commitment than CRTC, is kids getting out on extended learning opportunities, which often means, not exclusively, but often means going into the community and exploring in different professions and different work sites and that type of thing. And we are blessed here at Concord High School by having a wonderful director for that program, Jessamine Rockwell, and she's going to talk to us a little bit.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, I have an 8th grader coming up, so I could be out there. So ELOs, you're going to see that phrase, and you will see it in the program of studies as well, where there is a section that you can check out. I don't remember the page, but there's a pretty good section with descriptions, and I also have a website that you can check out through. Actually, you just have to walk out there, and my office is out by where the clubs are meeting, and there's a QR code somewhere. So extended learning opportunities, that's what an ELO is. So we're talking about experiential, hands-on, outside-the-box learning. A lot of times this happens outside of the typical class times of Concord High. You know, it might be happening after school or weekends. As they get into older grades, this does happen sometimes during the school day. Typically, students are not going out into like an internship type of placement until they're in the older grades, but there are freshmen doing ELOs. There's one right up here. And so we have had some really well self-directed, strong students. It requires a good amount of motivation and kind of internal direction to be able to complete an ELO as a freshman. But I've been very, very impressed with what I've seen from freshmen and sophomores. So it is an opportunity that's available to you guys, and then it becomes even more, there's even more opportunities as you get a little bit older. And this is the purpose, one of the purposes of this is to be able to capture all that learning that's happening outside of school. There's a ton of opportunities that you guys are a part of. I'm talking to you students, that you guys are a part of or that you want to be a part of. This, you know, there's career exploration type of stuff related to your goals after high school. And so what we're trying to do through ELOs is capture that and let you really personalize your transcript here at CHS with elective credit. That's an important phrase. So that you can add some really unique elective credits to your transcript that are not offered here in our program of studies, but are aligned directly with what you want to do in the future and what you might want to do after CHS or what you're really, really into right now. Whatever you're passionate about, we can create an ELO out of that. I think that's it. There's a bunch of information up here, and you guys will have that, so I'm not going to read it to you, but it's a lot of words. But these are parent supported, but I can't plan an ELO with a mom or dad. I can only plan an ELO with a student. It's student led. So if your kid can come to me, we can have a great meeting. You will find out about it. There are permission forms. We don't run this like a typical class. It's not going to operate in the same way with homework and assignments and summatives and assessments, but we do have competencies that are unique to each ELO. And there's a reflection, there's presentation, there's mentorship, and so it has some of the structures, there's goals built in, but it doesn't run in the same way that a typical CHS class does. And so that's why it requires that partnership between me and the student, because they're the ones who are going to be doing the legwork. But parents, don't worry, you are part of the conversation, and you will find out everything that your kid is doing for unique credit.
Thank you, Jessamine. So you folks are probably aware that we are a competency-based education school. That's a term I think that gets mentioned a lot in education. I think some schools aren't really all that committed to it. But I want to give you an overview of what I think the most salient points of being a competency-based education school are. And I want to start with the idea that if you take any discipline, English, math, science, whatever, there's a lot of material that could theoretically be taught to your students under the heading of any of those subjects. So one of the things that competency-based education is based on is the teachers in a given department thinking very carefully about how they're structuring the competencies, the conceptual understandings, the big ideas that make up a course, the skills that go along with that, how they fit together. And if you bear with me, I just want to read that first bullet out loud. What is taught in any discipline, the important conceptual understandings and related skills, is calibrated carefully to the amount of material that can be mastered in a given course and at a given grade level, and in relation to what will be taught in subsequent courses in that discipline. In other words, the teachers in that department are engineering overall in an individual course, but overall in all the courses that they offer, a really good education that is cumulative, that is hierarchical, that builds upon itself, and that has some other really important features to it. For example, terms that you may be quite familiar with already, but I think all of us have to be. Students' learning is based on their formative work, in which they're introduced to, practice, and develop their understanding of the competencies and skills that I just mentioned. Their mastery of the material is measured in summative assessments, which are often projects, presentations, or writing, or a combination of those things. It's the formative work that is the most important, because that's where they're learning. The summative, they're demonstrating what they have learned, but the actual learning is in the formative work. And students sometimes say, well, I'm not doing the formative work because it doesn't count. But of course, it's a foundation of everything they do. And then the culmination of that would be a project, a writing assignment, some type of a presentation that in which they actually demonstrate what they understand and the skills that they've acquired. What constitutes acceptable and quality work in a course is made explicit by the use of rubrics and exemplars. And exemplars is just a fancy word that means a teacher will, if he or she assigned a project or an essay, for example, they would show students an example of a past essay that a previous student had done. So this idea of transparency in CBE is really important. You have rubrics that carefully outline what the student is expected to do. You have exemplars, examples from students' previous work that shows them what a good piece of work actually contains, what it looks like. And it's trying to remove the mystery from that whole process of education. And another example of the differences in a competency-based education school is that students get multiple chances to do a summative. Sometimes, not sometimes, I say more often than not, some students need more time to master a competency than other students. Sometimes they need more formative work to get to a point where they can pass a summative. And that's really an important point of competency-based school. The kids get the time, and more importantly, they get the support to make sure that they can master every one of the competencies. Courses are made up of different numbers of competencies. I'd say on average, Kylene, is it fair to say most courses are somewhere between 3 and 5 competencies that make it up? The expectation is that to get your credit for a course, a student has to pass all 3 or 4 or 5 competencies, whatever the number is. So that formative work is really at the heart of that whole process, and the chance to do more formative work to make sure that you come up to the mark. The fourth bullet, a student's grade in a course is based on his or her mastery of a course's competencies, not on seat time. That's an important understanding for your student, for you as a parent, and for us as teachers, that showing up is important, and we're going to talk about that in a little while, about the importance of attendance. But your actual grade reflects what you understand and the skills that you have. And lastly, every student is expected, as I just said, to master all of a course's competencies. The goal is supported in a variety of ways, differentiated support based on your students' individual learning needs, which might include the amount of time that they need to work on a particular set of skills, and if needed, additional opportunities, as I said, to take a summative exam if they do more prep. So this is, again, if you think back to our experience, yours was probably not as far in the distance as mine is, I think a very different but a much more thoughtful and student-centered and supportive approach to education. The other part of this whole thing that we need to talk about and that you need to begin to understand is the grading system. Again, if you think about the fact that the student has to pass all his or her competencies in a course, it's important that you understand how that results in a grade that they receive for a course. And to talk a little bit about that is Assistant Principal Kylene Chalaskis.
Thanks, Meg. Hi, everybody. So up until this point in your child's education, they might have had a tough year, they might have had a tough subject area, and they received feedback on that. You received feedback on that, but that did not necessarily end up in loss of credit or no credit. Your children, once they enter high school, do need to earn credit in order to earn a high school diploma. This incoming freshman class, students will need to have 22.5 credits upon graduation from high school. 22.5. There'll be a test later on. So I think it's important that we start talking about how we grade. That little app icon up there is for our grading system called Teacheries. You as parents and guardians, when the school year begins, you will get a welcome email to the email that we have on file, so it's really important that you fill out that registration form. You will get an email that will welcome you to your parent account for Teacheries. That's the mobile app icon. So know the word Teacheries. That's where all of their grades are kept. We are a competency-based system. We score 0 to 4. So there's no 98s, 72s, 40s, those kinds of things. There are rubrics we use, and those are the scores that students earn. A 4, a 3.5, a 3, a 2.5, a 2, a 1, or a 0 if they haven't done it. So you'll see those. And to pass a course at Concord High School, you must have an overall of a 2.5. That is passing at Concord High School, is a 2.5. And we'll also send information via Parent Square about this in the fall, but it's really important that you start having conversations with your children about how that feels really different. There have been times in the past where something might not have gone well, but it wasn't tied to credit. And there are times where we get to a point where we say, you might need a little bit more time because you haven't earned the credit. So that can feel different. And it is important that parents are checking in and making sure they're not falling behind. In middle school, Mr. Reardon mentioned how middle school is different in a lot of ways from high school. In middle school, students have maybe 5 academic core areas, maybe even 4. Students in high school could have 7 academic courses. That's a lot. And a lot of times students want to fill everything, but that is a lot of core academic courses. So it's important for people to be paying attention to that. So more to come. The other 2 pieces, and this will come out again in the fall too, how do we calculate? You're going to hear terms from your kids, and you're going to be like, what the heck does that mean? Decaying weights. In a competency-based system, it's not a straight average of a score. So the most recent assignments weigh more than the assignments that were assessed earlier in a semester. So it's important to know it's not just a straight average. And the other one is rolling grades. So in other words, our grades for a year-long class, and most 9th graders are in year-long classes, English 9, NGS 1, Geography and Cultures, although that's broken into 2 semesters, it's all year. So your kids will sometimes say to you, Mom, don't worry too much about my quarter 1 grade because it's a rolling grade. And you're going to say, what the heck does that mean? What it means is, unlike years ago when quarter 1 was the static score and then it got averaged to quarter 2 and then it got averaged to quarter 3, we use rolling grades, meaning it continues to morph over time. We don't average quarter 1 and quarter 2 and 3 and 4 together. It morphs over time. So when someone comes home and says that to you, know that they're not lying, and that really is happening, and quarter 1 was a snapshot, but it's going to roll and change. Okay? Mr. Reardon wants me to explain the meaning behind rolling grades and decaying weights. So this has to do with competencies, and it has to do with being a competency-based system. We believe that students can get there, but sometimes they need more time. We believe all students can master the material and may master it in different ways, but they might need different ways to do that. It doesn't mean, children out there, there'll be a test later, it doesn't mean you don't do all the work until June. You have to do it the first time when it's assigned. But what it means is in a competency-based system, we want to provide you the opportunities to keep showing us what you know and reward you for doing that. And in the old system, if you had a really horrible quarter 1, you could hardly ever recover from it. And it was stuck. And you were forever digging out of that. In a competency-based system, we don't want students to feel stuck or they can't ever be able to master the material. We know they can. Sometimes they just need different ways and different times. So those are the 2 reasons behind it.
Thank you, Kylene. So we have made a point of talking about how the grades are just around the conceptual understandings, the competencies, and the skills and stuff. So what does that mean in terms of things like attendance, things like attitude, things like hard work, things like being a decent human being? Are those things still important? Of course they are. In fact, I would stand here in front of you and say they're more important than the academic work. But let's talk a little bit about a couple of those things. Mr. Corcom's going to talk about attendance, and I think he's got some interesting information to share with you about that, but also about co-curricular activities.
Give the next slide, Mike. Wonder if anyone else is finding the irony in Mr. Reardon being responsible for the technology here tonight. It's just doing a great job, though. So, as Kylene was talking to you about reporting out on how your students are doing academically, we are starting to transition and evolve into also wanting to inform students and parents of how students are working in the classroom. What are those soft skills? Sometimes you hear them called work study practices or habits of mind. And here at Concord High School, we call that our crimson culture. And what it is really the core values that we want students to exhibit over their 4 years here in the classroom, outside the classroom, because we believe that if they are exhibiting these things or mastering these areas, these core values, that they're going to be successful in school, they're going to be successful after high school, and they're just going to be successful in life. So Mike, if you want to go to the next slide, I can just show an example of what this is. And to just give you a brief overview, I'm sorry it's coming out a little small, but it's these core values that was developed by a group of students, teachers, administrators some years ago. And now we're starting to get into the phase to really start embedding it directly into our classroom at the universal level, and embedding it, not to sound cliche, but embedding it into our school culture. So those habits of mind, or those habits of work, soft skills, whatever you want to call them, that we believe that we want students to show in their time here are collaboration, communication, creativity, and self-direction. And not to go through every single one of those bullet points that we have up there, but like I said, we believe that if students are showing these things, they're going to be successful. What we started doing this year with a small group of teachers to pilot this was starting to put some protocols and systems around giving very, very formal feedback to students on how they were doing in these areas. So you have your academic grade here, you have your, you could call it behavior score, your behavior feedback here, and students and parents are getting feedback and information on both of those. You know, think back to not too long ago when your kids are in elementary school. I have one in middle school and one in elementary school. When I get the report card, the first thing I turn to is, how are they behaving? What are they like in the classroom? Are they being a good person? Not that we're going to go to that level, but giving that same type of feedback and communication to both students and parents and how they're doing in these areas. So some of our formalized things that we did this year was we had the teachers who were piloting this program having one-to-one conferences with students, having them reflect on how they were doing, showing evidence of why they think they're being, consistent in an area or in an area where they need work, and having just a very open conversation on how students can work to start to get better in some of these areas. So we still have some other work to do to really embed this in our system. We do want to start entering this, I'll say grades in quotes, because it's not going to go into a GPA or anything like that, but being able to report out to parents on, hey, here's how your student is doing in collaboration in their Algebra 1 class. Here's how they're doing in self-direction. And again, just to kind of tell that story of how your kids are doing while they're here in school. If you look at the bottom, on self-direction, and the bottom right, we said, what does this look like in the classroom? Like, if I'm a student, how do I know what self-direction looks like? What is it? You look at that first bullet point, and probably the most important is, I attend my classes. I attend my classes. And I think what we've seen over these last few years is, and this is not just Concord High, I mean, you can read the data, it's a national thing, that attendance is starting to waver a little bit among middle school, high school students. Attendance matters. Attendance matters. I know Mike was talking about the seat time in classes. We came, as an administrative team over the last year and a half or so, we've really dug into some of our data and tried to do some kind of cross-referencing between our attendance data and how students are doing in their classes. And we've come to find, once a student misses 10 classes, the odds of them passing a class, I think it was 0. I mean, students are not passing a class if they've missed it 10 times. That's a lot of absences. And I think sometimes we're not always sure that, oh my gosh, I had no idea they've missed that many. And I understand that things come up, but I think we really want to emphasize the importance of making sure your students are in their classes. They're in their classes, they're not being dismissed for a reason, or they didn't do their homework the night before, so we're calling them out. They need to be there. There's no way to replicate that instruction. And something we often hear, well, we can just do the work, it was posted, or the teacher can just send me the work. The instruction and the experience within the classroom that day can never be replicated again. So your students need to be in school, please. Next one, Mike. Was there anything else with attendance or Crimson Culture, Mike, that I missed that you were hoping I'd get to? All right. So co-curriculars. I say this to the freshmen over and over again throughout the summer when we meet with them the first day. My biggest message to our incoming freshmen is get involved in something. Get involved in something. The data shows that you're going to be a better student. You're going to do much better when you're engaged in your school outside of the classroom as well. And we have so many different opportunities here at Concord High School. The next 2 slides are just going to kind of show you the breakdown of what we have for athletics, what we have for extracurriculars. And when you go through each one of these teams, this isn't listing out necessarily that we have a lot of these different teams, like our soccer team, all freshman, JV, and varsity level. So 3 different levels of teams for all the students. In my opinion, you almost have to go out of your way to not get involved at something at Concord High because we have so many things for you to do. I think when you're playing one of these fall, winter, or spring sports, so many of them are doing things throughout the summer, different summer training, strength and conditioning, or scrimmages. It is a great way for incoming freshmen to get to know upperclassmen and other students here at the school, so when they arrive here on August 29th or whatever day it is, they've already met a whole group of kids before the first day of school. So I don't have the exact specific information on when these signups are. I think the sports are open now. I think you can sign up for fall sports on Family ID. It's a system that we use. If you were at Runlet Middle School, you're probably familiar with it. I'm not sure about Deerfield School. But if you just go onto the Concord High School website and go to the athletics page, there's a link to register your student for a fall sport if they're interested in doing that. So again, I really highly recommend getting involved in one of these things. The next slide just gives us a breakdown of all the clubs that we have here. There's a club for everyone. I always point out, if you're following the alphabetical, if you go to the third column to the bottom, we have a Sasquatch club. That's right. That's right. We have a Sasquatch club here at Concord High School. There's something for everybody. And guess what? If you see something on this list that you don't see you're really interested in, there's something else you're interested in, you can make your own club. It's not a very hard process. So it is, again, a great way for that socialization, working with others, collaborating on things, and over a common passion that you may have. And so we will have a club fair within the first couple weeks of school. So all of the clubs will be out on Main Street in the cafeteria, and students have the opportunity during their lunches to go and just kind of find out what they're all about, get a chance to join them, and start making friends that they're going to have for the next 4 years, and a lot of them carry in for the rest of their life. So anything else, Mr. Reardon, that I missed?
Thank you, Mr. Corkum. So we've been working you guys really hard. Let's have some fun. Can we do our... There's nothing fun about you, Mr. Laskis. No. We've got some stuff to raffle off. So, go ahead.
All right, so people who came in for pizza, Mr. Corkum, do you want to be the puller of the, we're going to make it official. All right, so getting a t-shirt today.
Tucker Sharp.
All right, parents of Tucker Sharp. Another t-shirt for the student, or the parents and student.
Ayana Valeris.
Is it over here? Okay. Third t-shirt.
Penny Brown.
There's the first student. Give her a round of applause. She's going to come up. Good job, Penny. Another t-shirt. There's only 5.
Laura Vittoria.
And the last t-shirt. Kyla New. Yes, right there. All right, and then we actually have some gift cards here. You may or may not want to share these with your families. So a Bagel Works gift card goes to
Cortland Johnson.
Cortland Johnson. Another Bagel Works gift card goes to
Molly Mossgrober.
Starbucks gift card. Hi, Molly. You're welcome.
Quinlan Purinton.
And the last one to Crust and Crumb.
Jaden Stewart.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. Mr. Reardon, what's next? Am I next? Okay.
Is there? Oh, congratulations. All right, just a couple more things, and then we're going to hear from our freshmen. You guys still awake back there? Okay, looks good. I was thinking of putting this at the top of our agenda tonight, and that's safety. I don't think there's a parent sitting here who's not a little freaked out by some of the stuff that has gone on in schools, well, for almost 25 years. So I don't know, the violence that has been visited on far too many schools and far too many number of students and teachers. I want to talk about two things. One, you know, that type of horrendous, unthinkable event. I want to be totally frank with you. There's no way to guarantee that anything couldn't happen. I mean, I'm saying that frankly. That's why we have a school resource officer here. We have a school resource officer here every day. Occasionally she has to be out for training. We have strict security protocols as to who can enter the building and how and where they can enter the building. And we do everything we can to make sure that our students and our staff are safe in this building. And I think we do a good job of it. But there's no guarantees about those things. And that's why the most important thing I can tell you about safety is not just about a school resource officer or locked doors. It's about the culture that we try to build at Concord High School. And the ways that we try to make sure that every student, and this is a big building, as you know, with a lot of kids. If you add in the CRTC kids that come in from other schools, there's probably 1,750 kids here every day. And what we try to do is make sure that every one of those kids has a sense of belonging to this community, has a sense that people know him or her and care about them. And we try to make sure that we have programs like our daily advisory program, like the work with restorative justice that Mr. Herbert has brought to Concord High School and is getting more and more momentum. Like the 4-day freshman summer orientation that you'll hear about from Ms. Chalaskis in a minute. Those things, and most importantly, just the way we interact with kids. And I have no idea what these guys are going to talk about, but I think maybe one or two of them might mention that, about the feeling that they're cared about in this building, that people know them and that they care about them. And that when things go wrong, and when you have 1,750 kids, things do go wrong, that there are going to be adults here to help them, to stand them back up, and to the best that we can, make them whole so they can go on. Not dissimilar from the academic stuff we talked about. Some kids need more help, some kids need more time. And that's what we try to do. So when I talk about safety, you do the common sense things like have security plans and have drills and if you can, as we can, have a school resource officer here. But the most important thing in my view is that is the way that a community works and the sense that every member, adult and student in this building is a part of that community and has responsibilities to that community. So, that's what I wanted to share with you. It's not a panacea, it's not a guarantee, but it's a pretty time-tested approach. This building has been safe for a long time, and I think it's going to continue to be safe for a long time. But as I said, there are no guarantees about anything. And we can follow that up with questions when we get to our question and answer period, if you like. So last thing we're going to talk about, we've been laying a lot of information on you about what next year is going to look like. The first opportunity that your freshmen are going to have will be this summer. We have a 4-day summer orientation that's free for your kids to come. It's a great experience for them to get used to the building, get used to us, get used to their peer group, and have some fun and start feeling like a high school student. So to tell you a little bit about that is Mr. Laskus.
Do you mind going to the next? Where's your clicker? You got it. He's on it. So I do have cards for everybody. So if you did not get your card when you came in tonight, I passed some of these out at pizza. I do have a card for every incoming ninth grader that identifies which commons they're in, so you know which orientation week they're invited to. That being said, I know that families have lots of already planned summer vacations, events, and such. What I will be doing is sending out in the next couple of weeks a form to all parents to identify if you need to swap your week. That is no big deal at all. We can swap weeks. There is transportation provided. Talk a little bit about, first of all, this is one of the best and most lengthy orientations in the state for incoming ninth graders, and it does work. These ninth graders will spend 4 years together here. They will build community over 4 days. We cook. We cook breakfast and lunch and snack every single day together up in the life studies rooms. We do an art project. We do a field trip on the last day. This year we'll be going to a local college and actually having a tour of that college, because this really is about what's next. This is not just about ninth grade, but this is how we're getting you ready for what's next. So we will do that with these students when they're with us that week. They will meet some of their teachers. A lot of the ninth grade teachers will sign up for the week that is the commons in which they teach, so they have an opportunity to meet some teachers. We do a little bit of preparation academically, thinking about what their classrooms are going to be like, but it's a lot of team building and it's a lot of getting to know each other, because like Mr. Reardon said, that really is the key to this being a safe place, is everybody knowing each other. So we encourage everybody. As an incentive, students will, this is an opportunity to earn their first quarter credit of high school. If they attend all 4 days, they earn a quarter credit towards high school. So it's a pass piece. There's no grade accounted to it, but they do get to earn a quarter credit for it. There will be a form that will come out for bus information, so we know where to pick up your individuals. And we did provide buses both to Deerfield and Concord, and we have done that every year. So that is also available for Deerfield students. So we look forward to seeing everybody. And my last piece, 2 things. First, anecdotally, I know that a lot of you out there, I've had 3 students now come through Concord High School. My youngest is actually graduating from high school this year here. I've had an individual in this building with me as their assistant principal since 2013. So imagine that, your mom being the assistant principal. And they're fine, and they had a great time. And your kids are going to be well taken care of. We've got them, and we're going to take care of them, and they're going to have an excellent time here at Concord High School. So let us get to meet them this summer. And like I said, we can swap weeks if we need to. No big deal at all. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Kylene. Okay, let's move on. We've been talking at you guys for too long right now. So the whole point of this enterprise is a point that I've made to incoming freshmen year after year. The reason the reason we have jobs is because of these guys and our responsibility to educate them and get them ready for wonderful futures. So I have no idea what these guys are going to say, but we're going to start with Addie down here on my right. And why don't you guys each introduce yourself and share your thoughts with folks.
Hi. Wait, is it okay? Hi, I'm Addie Twion, and so for my first year of high school, what I wish I knew was how much independence you have here. I went to a different middle school, so I'm not really sure what Runlet is like for independence, but here you have to email your teachers when. Sorry. Just take it off. You have to email your teachers if you need help. You need to ask for help. They're not going to make you do the work. They want you to succeed, but it's your responsibility. They've already done all this, so they don't have to do it again. So some ways that you can succeed is coming in early or coming in after school. I've done that for Spanish, and it's helped a lot. And find strategies that work for you. So, like taking notes, find the way that taking notes works for you. Studying, focusing, like if that means making yourself sit in front of the class, or asking the teacher to sit in front. So anything that helps. What might work for me might not work for you. So whatever helps. Definitely try new things. Clubs and sports. I play hockey, and I've met some of my closest friends from hockey. And I also do crew, which is not a Concord High School sport, but it's a Concord sport. It's in Concord, and it's just rowing, and I just came from there, so I'm sorry that I'm a little bit late. And remind your kids that everyone's just trying to get by, no matter who you are. And everyone's just doing the best they can. People are always going to judge you. You should just do whatever you want. It might be embarrassing, but it's more fun to have fun than care about what other people think. And then also, I recommend encouraging your kids to remember the feeling of getting a good grade. It's kind of annoying to admit that it feels good, but it does make me proud when I get a good grade, because school comes harder for me. Please check on your kids, definitely. Make sure they're okay. It probably seems like we don't appreciate it, but I can promise you we appreciate it more than you think. So my biggest things is ask questions, even if it feels stupid. Someone else probably has this question, so just ask. Communicate with your teachers. Tell them what you need. If you need to sit in the front, then tell them. Or if you need to take walks, just tell them. And put yourself out there. Try new things. Ask new people to sit with at lunch. And that's all. Thank you.
I'm getting a standing ovation.
Hi, I'm Callie. And before Concord High, I went to a really small Montessori school in Pembroke. I don't know if any of you know Green Valley School, but it is a Montessori school. And so when I came here, I didn't know anyone. No one but my brother, who was a senior, and some of his friends. So it was definitely a really big switch socially, because I had one other kid in my grade back in my old school, and then I came here where there's like almost 400. So it was definitely a big switch socially, but things that helped me was just like talking to people, starting conversation with literally anyone about anything, and if they would just talk back, and it's just, you make friends by starting conversations about the most odd things sometimes, and things that you find that are the same, like common interests. And I joined theater when I started high school, and it really, really helped me branch out and meet like so many different people and find something that made me feel confident and good about like what I was doing and being on stage and being behind the stage, and it just like gave me a passion to care about, and it really helped with like grades and stuff and like classes. Talking to your teacher about what you need and what you think is important is so beneficial, and it really helps to discuss with your teacher. And if you need help on something, reach out, send them an email, be like, hey, I need help on this one assignment, I'm really struggling, and I guarantee you they will help. And the thing about like being able to retake tests and get extra help is so important, and it's so important to use that because it's not something that a lot of schools give. So I found that doing that and helping or getting help when I need it has helped me so much. And sports, I joined sports in the winter. I did swim team, which was really fun. And swim team is the type of thing, so we obviously don't have a pool here. Even if anyone tells you there's a pool on the roof, there's not. Don't listen to them. So we did that at the Concord Y, and that was really fun, and it was a good way to branch out and meet other kids from different grades and do something in the winter when it's kind of glum, and it was nice to do a sport then. And then I'm a part of the Concord tennis team, which is really fun, and doing spring sports especially has helped because you get to be outside, and just spring sports are really great. So reaching out, doing things that you might not think that you would want to do or something, just trying new things has helped so much. And just talk to people, figure out what you want to do, and do what's best for you. Thank you.
I don't mess with this, man. But I don't mess with this. Hi, my name's Oliver. So coming into high school from Runlet, I was pretty nervous just about like in general, like finding my classes, getting to know people, because like everyone makes it seem like oh, like the upperclassmen are gonna hate you, they're gonna bully you, blah 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 blah. That doesn't happen. None of that happens. It was pretty easy coming here actually. Like all the teachers, like I promise every teacher here is looking to help you, no matter what you think. Like they'll all help you in whatever way they can. Teachers will stay after school if you're falling behind or you just need help. And there's so many things to do here. We have so many clubs, and it's really great to branch out and play sports and join band and like just join a club or do something. Like I play basketball and lacrosse. I'm also on the unified basketball team, and like those are all, like you branch out. I know so many people throughout the school now. Like I know seniors that I never would have met because of those things, and it's just really beneficial to like help, because a big part of high school is your social ability and like being able to talk to people. So that's just great, and like it's also awesome. Like for Unified, we get to go in front of the whole school during the pep rally, and it gets crazy. It's so fun. It's probably my favorite thing I've done all year, and it's just really important also to just go to class. Like it's just like the bare minimum. Go to class and just do what you can to pass, because like I said, the teachers will help you. So if you go to class, you're gonna get it done. But and nope, don't be afraid to talk to people. There's kids from Deerfield that don't know the kids from Runlet, and there's kids from Runlet that don't know the kids from Deerfield, and there's kids from Green Valley that don't know anyone. Yeah, so if you just reach out and talk to people, you're gonna make friends. I have so many more friends from Deerfield than I would have thought. I didn't know that I would have met anyone from Deerfield, and it's a good school, and people make it out to be some scary thing, but you'll fit in really quick, and it's a great experience, especially your freshman year. Like, just have fun. Don't get held back, because you're just gonna regret it if you take things so seriously, and then you're gonna look back and be like, man, I wish I had more fun. So yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name's Liam, and coming into this year as a freshman, I was really worried about like a lot of things. One of the things being finding my classes and the academical jump, like the classes being harder. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to keep up in my classes and I'd fall behind and just not be consistent with my grades. That worry quickly went away when we were in our on our first couple of days of learning. We just did a recap of what we learned with in 8th grade, and then just kept going on with what we ended with in 8th grade. As I said, I was really worried about finding my classes, and I know a lot of my friends were too. And I mean, CHS is much, much bigger than Runlet and Deerfield and Green Valley, which I didn't even know until now. But yeah, and there's much more classrooms, and they're just much harder to find. But I was relieved, like, as one of the people talked about orientation, but in the first 4 days, they give you your schedule, and you can just walk around the school and look for your classes. And also, it's not like you're just gonna get it right away and know where everything is. There's always teachers there to help you and lead you into the right direction. And then, yeah, my last piece of advice is just, I know everybody else has said it, but like, just get involved in stuff, like clubs, sports. I do basketball, lacrosse, and I do unified too. And it's just, I know I'm basically saying what Oliver said, but I've just met so many people that I thought I would have never met, and I just branched out, I guess. I never thought I would have done a unified basketball team, but it turned out to be awesome, and I loved it. But not much more to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sean Wicks. I would think that like one of the things that like worried me the most was like the fact that like there's some classes that like I might have with like I might have had with like upperclassmen, but one of the things that I did not know was a lot of the classes were actually just freshmen, and I only had a few classes with like the upperclassmen, so there's not like really that to worry about. Like pretty much the school like eases you in almost with that factor, And like even with the classes that I did have with upperclassmen, they were all like really nice to you. Like they'll be really nice to you, and it's really great. Like I did band, and that had like a ton of like sophomores, juniors, and seniors, but they were all just like so kind, and like the teachers are really nice, and like it was really like easy to settle in. And it's nice always having like that same schedule like going throughout your days, because like it's something that you know will happen and know that you like have to do. And then like I also got involved with a lot of stuff, and that helped me meet a lot of new people. Like I met people from Deerfield. I met this one girl from Green Valley. That was pretty cool. Like that one girl with Green Valley, I met her from like swim team and like theater, and it was great. Like I got to meet all these new people, and I really enjoyed that. Like, and like all these clubs have just been like so fun for me. And being like, even though I had like a full schedule, like no study halls, which is another thing. Like study halls, like they're good for you if like for studying, but like obviously, but otherwise like pretty much like I would try to get like a full schedule, because it will help you learn a lot more for your other classes. But like even with the clubs and a full schedule, I was still able to get my work done, and like I'm like passing with flying colors. It's great. And like what the first girl said, Addie, like it's really nice to have like a good grade. And I feel like my freshman year has been like really nice, because all the teachers are so kind, all the upperclassmen not mean, and like it's just like really easing to like join high school, and it's a lot nicer. That sounds rude, than middle school, but not to rip on middle school though. I think that like high school, like it's like scary once you're like looking at it, and like when you're in 8th grade, but then after like the first week, it's like really settling, and like I've enjoyed my experience, and I think that most of you will too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lily, as you can tell from this lovely makeshift little name tag. But I came into the year coming from Runlet. Runlet. But I came in as a person that was very ADHD, and I had a lot of like disabilities with doing schoolwork. And I found that coming into the high school, I've had a lot more supports into what I wanted to do with my life and how I could make that work while having a 504 and ADHD. There's a lot more accommodations here that I feel like people with learning disabilities really could benefit from, because in middle school I was not passing a lot, let's just be honest. And here I can feel like I'm passing more with putting a lot on my schedule, because I tend to be that type of person. I do a community service ELO with Miss Rockwell to get extra credits, because I love working in nursing homes with old people, and I do a lot of extracurricular things, and I feel like it gives you a lot of opportunities as a person with this that you can improve. I also think that coming into high school, you get a lot of anxiety. Definitely your first day you walk in here, you're like, wow, this is a huge school. It's gonna be horrible in every type of way. And it's really not that. You find people within, like everyone's saying, their groups. I did NAMI New Hampshire, which is a suicide prevention program that helps with people your age, and I do lacrosse and field hockey, and I feel like the people you meet there versus like the opportunities that you get, it's really impacting. The more people you meet, the more opportunities you find yourself, and it's a good feeling. But definitely take as much opportunities as you can and capitalize on the fact that you're in high school, you're one of the older kids now, you need to figure out your life, but take it at your own pace. Do all the CRTC things and go to the extra meetings. Depending on like what you go into, I went for like the little preview days, and I got to try on fire gear and figure out what I wanted to do, and I feel like it really opened my eyes to a new world, what I wanted to do with my life, and signing up for all of the CRTC things and getting in next year to emergency services, that really, it makes you feel good about yourself and take up all the opportunities that you can, as well as sports. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
I need it. Oh, this one works. My name is Drayden, and when I was in middle school, I went to Runlet, and I was really nervous because people told me that the teachers were gonna be bad and all of this, but I actually really enjoy all the teachers here. Miss Chalaskis, sometimes I go down to Commons A and I have a nice conversation, or I see Mr. Corkum in the hallway, I just say hi, or Mr. Flower, and sometimes there's gonna be things that will bother you, and if you need someone, you can go to the counselors, which is Mr. Corkum, Ms. Chalaskis, and Mr. Herbert. I always go to Mr. Herbert if I need something, there's some stuff that is gonna bother you, so you might wanna talk to them so you can focus on passing your classes, because some things they're just you can't learn in an environment that you don't feel safe in, so you need to get on top of that. And like everyone else said, just take your the CRTC classes, join clubs. I played soccer. I really wish I played basketball, but I didn't because my friends weren't gonna do it, and I really regret doing that. So if you guys want to, take your opportunities, just take them, because there's nothing that it's gonna, it's not gonna hurt you. So I think you should just do it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. The teachers are great.
Thank you very much, guys. Great job. Great job. We can stand here and tell you anything about the school. The best thing I can tell you about the school is these kids here. And I don't know if you saw as you were coming up. And I want to remind you, we've got some co-curricular tables set up. If you have a minute, just stop by on the way out. And we are going to do questions in a minute. But up on the monitor, I think there's just about 60 of them up there right now of our seniors. There's slides of our seniors and where they're going, what they're doing next year. The schools are going to, their interests, and just look at those kids. And the proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the product of those kids who are graduating as seniors. And they're going to have a wonderful effect on this community and on our country as a whole. They're ready to succeed, and they're ready to make a difference in people's lives. And that's what we're most proud of. Your questions. We have representatives of just about all of our disciplines here. We have the administrative team, all of whom are much smarter than I am. So if you have questions, this is not your last chance to ask, but we can probably get some things answered. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Instead of you guys just sitting there on your laurels, can you, four of you, grab those mics, two up this stairs, two up these stairs, so we can hear people's questions? And Addie, there's a gentleman right up, has his hand up there.
If we weren't here for pizza, where do we get the cards for the orientation?
I am going to, when questions start to come to a close, I'm going to bring a couple of my peers up to the front outside of the auditorium, and we'll have them alphabetically for you to pick up.
There are questions over here. Somebody have a mic?
My daughter's taking an eStart class in the fall. Will she be able to bring her own computer to log in to take it during study hall, or do they have to use the Chromebooks issued by the school?
Is our tech guy here? Mr. Bork? No. He might tell me otherwise, but students can bring their own devices to access those courses if they need to. Yeah.
I understand the concept of competency-based learning. I just wonder how or if like numerical grades are tracked at all, for example, for purposes of ranking as the year goes on, or certainly senior year. Are students ranked, or do they get a number grade at all?
Our students are currently ranked. We do have a top 10, but I need to tell you in all frankness, and this isn't anything that I'm going to have any part of because I'm retiring at the end of the year, but we're seriously considering doing away with top 10 status just because after 4 years of work, the difference between, say, the first and second, or the 7th and 8th, or the 14th and 15th kid are so minuscule as to be meaningless. So we're going to be looking at options. We will be including the community, by the way, in that debate, as well as the instruction committee and the school board. But it's something, currently, to answer your question directly, yes, we do that. I am not certain that that's going to be sustained for a long time into the future. Go ahead, ma'am. This right? Okay. My man.
I know that some schools are starting to move away from homework based on, I don't know if it's really related to the competency base, but just research about the effectiveness or not of homework. And I was just curious if there's something like that here, if it's up to the teachers. I know some schools still have like a minimum amount of homework per night. Just curious what to expect.
Yeah. Here's the deal with homework. Homework, again, I'm always thinking, compare and contrast with past years. Homework now is much more around projects and writing assignments and preparation of long-term assignments, as opposed to doing the odd-numbered questions at the end of the chapter. I think one of the things we work most diligently for, and we still have work to do, is to make sure that everything that takes place in any given course of study is focused around the competencies and the skills. I still hear kids talk about having to do busy work. Now, I don't know about how that's true, whether that's true or not, but if the work is meaningful, kids will do it, or most kids will do it. And I think that's really the key with homework, is that if kids have an essay on a short story or an analysis of a poem that's due at the end of the week, that's their homework in that class. They're working on it over a period of days. And by the way, having the discipline to do that and not wait for the last minute to put something together is one of the most important skills that they'll learn over time. Other questions? Okay, folks, last thought. I'm glad you're all sitting down. Concord High School is not perfect, okay? But Concord High School every day works towards that. We take what we do here very seriously. And the last thing I'm going to say, and you can take this for what it's worth as well. I've been doing this for a heck of a long time, as a principal and as a teacher and all the rest of it. I have never worked with a more talented or dedicated staff than the one that I have Concord High School right now. These folks up here, and by and large the rest of the faculty, are terrifically talented and truly dedicated to your students' success. And you're not going to find a better group to send your kids to know that they're going to be emotionally safe, but also that they're going to be challenged and supported academically. And I'll stand by that any day of the week. Thanks for coming.